Hey everybody, welcome to Crashing Game Night. My name is Matt Fiorio, your host, as always. Tonight we're down a couple people. Theo got stuck at work. Jason's stuck at work as well. So we're just gonna kind of wing this on an opening. We're supposed to have a guest tonight, Matteo Rossi, director and writer, has been on the show. He's running a few minutes behind, but I want to make sure we got started on time for everybody. Because we know sometimes a lot of people do follow us on our schedule and join us on Twitch. So, we talked about this last week, and I want to kind of touch base on it, especially with the tragedy that did happen in Gaza today. So, our thoughts do go out to those that are over in Israel and Palestine, for that matter, in the Gaza Strip. Of everything that is going on over there. It's a travesty to see what is taking place over there. We know this has been going on for quite some time, though. But innocent civilians are being impacted. So I implore, this is going to fall on deaf ears over there, but I implore everyone to kind of just, regardless of which side you're on, right? We have to think about the civilians, the innocents that are being impacted, especially when you have, a hospital get hit, by and injured a ton of people that were already injured seeking help. So, let's get, thoughts and prayers out to them. So this past week we saw some interesting news. The England's regulatory board did finally approve the Activision Blizzard merger with Microsoft and Xbox. So that is now an official thing. We are now living in an age where, a console manufacturer owns an actual publisher now, and that publisher being Activision. So we'll see how this is going to affect the landscape. When you look at the landscape of everything right now in gaming, with a lot of the consolidation happening, Activision, albeit yes, Call of Duty, there's not a ton of other games that are immensely popular where we look forward to a yearly or 2 years release on those games. You've got World of Warcraft. Let's see what happens, what Microsoft does with that. The other games, I think coming to Xbox are going to be great because, frankly, Xbox, I hate to say this, yes, I've been kind of supporting Xbox a little bit as of late. I did dabble in the Series X, but it's no longer on my desk. I did finally get my PS5 back, and that is on my desk. Series X has kind of moved on because, frankly, what happened like the last time is that there's just not a lot outside of Halo and Forza for me to play on Xbox. And unfortunately, I think that outside of third-party support, there's not those first-party games that we come to expect from Xbox, right? In the heyday, you had Gears of War, you had a Halo, you had Forza. You even back in the day, we had Mass Effect, which people forget, right? Mass Effect 1 was a console exclusive on the Xbox. That's where it started with BioWare. So now, we'll see how things play out for that. But I really want this deal to be beneficial for Xbox, the Xbox community. When you look at the grand scheme of things, right, and we look at the landscape of first party titles, yes, Starfield just came out. However, for me, I stopped playing that after a week or two because it was the same Bethesda games for me. So if you've ever played Elder Scrolls, or Fallout, you're used to the mechanics, right? You're used to how they tell their stories. And I'm not saying it's not a good story, right? Bethesda's always been really good at their storytelling. It's just the game didn't hit with me mechanically. Even seeing a game on a Series X versus xCloud, it was gorgeous. The visuals were very, very beautiful. Some of the best I've seen come out of Bethesda, right? However, with that being said, the planets were still barren. There wasn't a lot of life to them, right? There was outposts here and there. But ultimately it didn't hit with me. Now I understand it, kind of like Tears of the Kingdom, right? It has its audience. I love Zelda. I've always loved Zelda, going all the way back to Super Nintendo days, and Link to the Past. It is my favorite Zelda game. Tears of the Kingdom, I stopped playing it because I just didn't like the mechanics. Not saying anything against, like, say, Theo, right, who loves the game, was playing it a ton before he got back on his Animal Crossing kick. And then you look at, Jerry with Red Dead Redemption, right? Same type of thing. Not a fan of the mechanics. Didn't hit well with me, but they love that game. So with Starfield, right, you got people that love the shipbuilding mechanics. And that we're seeing some amazing creativity out of that, with people pulling famous ships out of science fiction and replicating those into the game. We've had the Pelican, we've had Serenity, we've had some stuff from Star Trek, a lot from Star Wars. I've seen the A-wing, the Y-wing, X-wing, the Razor Crest, to name a few. So the mechanics are fantastic for the people that love it, just didn't set well with me. So and then another reason is I had bought the Xbox for Forza, specifically Forza Motorsport. I've never been a Horizon fan. I played it, dabbled in it, but I'm not a fan of it as I am Forza Motorsport. When it comes to those open world type games, Need for Speed Most Wanted will always be my favorite. I was kind of hoping we have Jerry on time, so we can kind of talk about Forza versus Gran Turismo. And side by side, I have Gran Turismo on my PS5. I think that Forza mechanically is Forza. It is the same driving experience that you expect out of Forza. However, it does have a little bit more of that arcadey feel where, the other cars that you're racing against have no problem diving down into you and trying to wreck you, right? Whereas Gran Turismo, the cars are actively, yes, you'll have bumping, and as I say in Days of Thunder, he didn't bump you, he didn't rub you, or he didn't bump you, he didn't nudge you, he rubbed you, and Robin's racing, right? You have some of that in Gran Turismo, but it's more so in Forza. I had cars that dove down into me, to knock me out and stuff like that. And so that took away from a little bit, but I think where Gran Turismo is better than Forza is that the photo mode on Gran Turismo is just way, way better. The cityscapes add a lot to be able to take shots with your cars. Forza, it is just side by side in your garage. You just take a picture, you spin it around, that's it. You don't really have a lot to really do with it. Also, it seemed like Gran Turismo does a lot better job with the ray tracing and displaying it at 4K on a 4K HDR monitor. Forza, some of the visuals felt a little bit flat to me. And I think we saw a lot of the CGI cinematics, if you would, when we saw the trailer for Forza. So with that, I think that it's a great game, and the Xbox community absolutely deserves a really good racer. Gran Turismo, for me, from a visuals perspective, is a lot better game. Now, from a handling perspective, I did still enjoy driving a little bit more in Forza than I do in Gran Turismo. But Gran Turismo is way more of a simulator than Forza is. Also, being a photographer, I love photo mode. It's one of those things I love about the PlayStation studios, right? And their photo modes. You look at what Horizon does, Spider-Man and Miles Morales from Insomniac, even some of a little bit that Sony Santa Monica put into theirs. I still think Sucker Punch with the photo mode they did for Ghost of Tsushima is by far the best one. Insomniac had a really good one with Ratchet and Clank as well, with Rift Apart. But I still think Ghost of Tsushima is still by far the best photo mode, and I absolutely love taking pictures inside of Ghost of Tsushima. And equally, you look at what they did with Gran Turismo. Love taking shots in there with the different cityscapes that they did. The way that when you rotate the car, if there's lights, like it's a nighttime shot, the way they reflected off the cars. So with that, I enjoyed my time on the Series X. It is a workhorse, no doubt about it. But my heart will always be with Nintendo, and it'll always be with PlayStation. Those are, I dabbled in Xbox, and I absolutely love Halo. Halo is probably top 10 or top 15 of my all-time favorite franchises. Yes, it did start going off rails once Bungie left and went to do Destiny. John 117, we know that story, right? And going back to Halo 1 and playing that again, playing, a bit of Halo 2, it revives what made Halo great. I know season 5 just launched for Halo Infinite, and people are touting that it's really, really great with the new Forge AI, the new cosmetics and the new suits that you can do. But it's not enough for me to keep Xbox. I get it. Game Pass is a tremendous value, and I will not knock it any further. It's got a great selection of games. For those that are budget conscious right now, especially with the economy that we got right now with inflation and everything, it offers a lot. Because you're paying that, that if you do it monthly, you're paying a flat monthly fee. If you do it, yearly, whatever it is, right, you've got that as well. It just doesn't have enough for me that I can't get on PlayStation. I could easily do PlayStation Plus Premium, and get all of that. So for me, I'll stick to xCloud because I can still play Halo. I could still play Forza. If I really wanted to, I could go in and play Starfield through it. I don't need the Series X or Series S that way. It ran pretty well on my MacBook Pro. Aside from the queuing lines, which a lot of people have been seeing that it does take 10, 20 minutes to queue into a server to play on xCloud. I get it. It's still in beta, but you would think from a perspective that Microsoft is wanting to drive that and looking at gaming for everybody, that they'd have a little bit better, more robust server system. It depends on what their data center's like. They are running on the Azure cloud system. So depending on where their servers are housed, but in the end, I want Xbox to be successful. Always. Like we have disagreed with Xbox over the years of our podcast, right? Just for some of the decisions they made and where they're going. I absolutely love what Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond are trying to do with Xbox and trying to bring it back to prominence, right? But for me, it'll still be PlayStation, Nintendo. PlayStation has the franchises that I play. Nintendo, franchises that I love, and have grown up on. Nothing will ever replace Uncharted for me. And that is something that, when at essentially Fan Expo Denver, I was able to meet Nolan North and have a conversation with him. And Uncharted came into a part of my life when things were kind of dark for me, and it helped pull me back out of it. And I related to the story. I absolutely loved it. And I love every single game, 1, 2, 3, 4, and Legacy. And I love Legacy because it made it took a different take on things, right? You with Chloe and Nadine versus always being Nathan Drake. That being said, as much as I would love another Uncharted, I think they sent Nathan off into the sunset with Uncharted 4 in a great way. Now that's not to say I don't agree with PlayStation all the time with some of the decision making. We've talked about that the last couple of weeks, both with the PlayStation 5 Slim, as well as just Jim Ryan, some of the decisions he's made. I think that the PlayStation Portal would have been better served by going with a new Vita. But that's just me. I love the Vita. I have one. We've all talked about. I've got that nice blue console there, and it has my classics that I absolutely love. Especially Chrono Trigger, one of my all-time favorite games. That's one of the big reasons I will never get rid of my Vita until the Switch ends up getting Chrono Trigger or we get a remake on it. Nintendo, again, Zelda, Metroid, Mario Kart. Those are Fire Emblem. Those are fantastic franchises that I absolutely love. Admittedly, I never touched Fire Emblem until hit GameCube. I just never really got around to playing it, and I didn't have a GBA at the time, so it was great experiences, and I love every single one of them. Now, since playing it on GameCube with Wii, and now the Switch with even Fire Emblem Engage, it's not your typical Fire Emblem, but it's still great and it looks beautiful. Love the kind of what they're looking at with that, the game mechanics and whatnot. So, anyways, I digress. Let's get back to the Activision series. So, I mean, yes, you are getting Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk. Those are the games coming to. Let's see, what else are we getting? Sekiro was produced by Activision. Skylanders, King's Quest. Those are the games coming out of Activision. Oh, and Spyro. They're going to be coming to Xbox, and I think they absolutely do need to get those. I do want to see what happens with the games that are not Call of Duty. We do know that back during when all this was starting to happen with the whole trial and everything, the FTC and everything, we know that Sony turned down a contract to have all of Activision titles on the PlayStation. They turned that down, only went with COD in the end. So it'll be interesting to see if we do see those games cross-platform. I think the other thing that, and I will have to agree with Jim Ryan on this, right, is that normally speaking, when you're building a console, you get your dev kits out to your publishers ahead of time so they can get the games built for it. They can see what it's running, what advancements it's going to be making for your games. And in this case, we're now looking at Xbox owning a publisher with Blizzard, of course, doing Overwatch and Activision. Does Sony still send out the dev kits to Activision and Blizzard so they can start getting games ready for launch of the system or shortly thereafter? And Jim Ryan was very cautious, would probably be a more political term, right? He was cautious and concerned about sending over a dev kit to a competitor who owns a publisher, because that is the one thing in this landscape is we know there's PlayStation and Xbox. They generally going toe to toe when it comes to the specs on the systems. So if PlayStation were to send a dev kit over to Xbox would see, hey, this is all the hardware that's running it. This is what it's going to be doing. Our new Xbox isn't up to par with it. We need to do some changes, right? So it'll be interesting to see what PlayStation does. And for the Activision Blizzard fans that are out there that are on PlayStation, I would agree with PlayStation if they don't send over dev kits. I wouldn't blame them one bit, because you do need to keep your stuff proprietary until you actually make the official announcement that, hey, this is what it's going to be. Because a lot of times dev kits are out there in the beforehand. We know with the Switch 2, we know the Switch 2 is coming, right? And we do know from reports that it was at Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom. So they were showing off kind of some of the capabilities of what the Switch 2 is going to be. Do you imagine if now Activision being owned by Xbox, Nintendo doesn't necessarily need to worry about that because they're in the portable game. And from the reports, it's going to be as powerful as a PS4 or a Xbox One. So They don't necessarily need to worry, but PlayStation does, because admittedly they're running very similar specs, although the systems are, different in how they use the architecture, but they're almost using the same type of architecture. So it will be interesting to see what happens. Some other news that did come out this past week was Pete Hines, who has been as much of a face of Bethesda as Todd Howard has decided he is leaving Bethesda after 24 years of being with that studio. Pete Hines is kind of cut from the similar mold as like Phil Spencer, where he just wants gaming to be out there for the masses. When you look at his interviews, even when we got to see him, Theo and I got to see him at E3 15, 14. No, it was 14. E3 14 is when we got to see the presser and stuff. So, look at here. Look at this morose motherfucker joining in here.
What's up? Well, did you run a little late?
I've been doing this solo, buddy.
Oh, hey, what's up, baby?
We are now doing couch co-op.
Oh, nice. Okay. I like it. I can dig it.
I've just been talking. So, for whatever reason, Michael Rossi couldn't make it tonight. So, we'll end up retitling the episode and everything after we're done. But, okay. So what you missed is I kind of was talking about Activision is now officially owned by Xbox. That deal is completely closed now. The CMA over in England said, cool, we're good to go. They signed off. Kind of get your take on this is, now that Xbox owns a publisher officially 100%. One of the things, yes, we disagree with Jim Ryan on a lot of things, and we've voiced that, is that one of Jim Ryan's concerns was that, do we send dev kits now to the enemy, so to speak? Would you blame PlayStation if they don't send dev kits to Activision until pretty much close to launch of the console?
Yeah, but I mean, even if they wanted to be that petty, wouldn't that would just hurt their customer base, because they wouldn't have enough time to work on the game or have it, ported for PS5, or I don't know. It's a tricky situation to where I mean, really, the ball's in PlayStation's court. Like, are they going to suck it up and just?
Well, but think about it is like your consoles, right? Your dev kits are usually out roughly 6 months to a year before the console comes out, give or take.
Yeah.
So think about this, right? Is yes, you send out your dev kit, right? You see all the architecture, see what they're doing. Xbox is going to go, oh crap, our Xbox 720 or whatever they're going to call the next series, right? It doesn't sync up with what PlayStation's about to throw out at everybody. We need to make some changes super quick, and then they could come out with a beefier console, whatever it is. So
I don't know. Just in some way, shape, or form, PlayStation's going to have to cave in some way if they want. I think if they want those games to come out in a timely fashion, or they're going to have to suck it up and do what Xbox did back in the day when they wanted those exclusives, or the exclusives that got that timed out, like Tomb Raider for what was exclusive for about a year or 2 years or something like that, and then it finally went to Xbox. That's probably what they're going to have to do. They're probably, like, we as the PlayStation fans are probably going to have to wait for the games if they're not going to work with Xbox. I mean, as we said, if they want to be petty. But
so,
I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I still wouldn't blame PlayStation if they were petty as hell.
Yeah, but is that the smart play? I don't think so. Like, I like, honestly, they fought, they lost. So this is what's going on now. This is the new norm. So pivot and figure it out, because you can't just think about your bottom line. You have a fan base, you have a customer base that that's loyal. So you got to be thinking about them too. So
yeah,
it's going to be tough. It's going to be it's a crapshoot, dude. It really is a crapshoot. Not you really don't know what they're going to do based on their other moves, especially like when they were going against the court case. It's just and plus all the other moves they've been making that we've been questioning. Like we've
discussed it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like an oh crap moment, like oh, here we go.
And then speaking of that whole rivalry, I did make the announcement that there is a shiny
you did
PS5 sitting on my desk
back at Sony,
and that there is no Xbox on my desk and why I left Xbox. And I was talking to my wife about this the other day, right? And I was like, you know what? This happened the last time. You and I talked about it on the phone that I got an Xbox. I was like, let's see what else they have, because there's Halo and there's Forza, and there's just Halo and Forza.
And of course, there are the other older games, but like, I mean, why would you dive into those now when you have a new system? You want to play some of the new games, but what were some of the? There weren't really a lot of new games.
No.
I
can play Final Fantasy.
What about Redfall? Redfall's there. I know, dude. It's tough. I mean, in theory, I would say like it was.
Why would I want to play a Trash Panda?
No, I get it. In theory, the idea of like being able to play all the Xbox games and stuff like that.
I can do it on xCloud.
And we've talked about, like, I've even been thinking about it, but
honestly,
there just isn't like a need. Yeah. Unless you're a hardcore Xbox fan and just like, I mean, that's your system, then go for it. That's you. But
yeah,
I already have two consoles. And that's the thing, can't justify a third. I really can't.
My wife was telling me, she's like, she even said that, it's like, you know what? Over the years though, there's always been two. They've always been Nintendo and PlayStation. That's it. Anytime I've dabbled in Xbox, it's lasted like 2 or 3 months and then bye.
There was a good long while where I was an Xbox and a PlayStation. I think you guys remember that. I had an Xbox One.
Yeah.
For a good while, and
at the apartment with Pierre.
I just never touched it.
Yeah.
I just never I was always on my PlayStation. That's what led me to get a Switch, actually, because I knew I would at least utilize the Switch in a number of ways.
Oh, I was going to get the Switch regardless.
Oh no, I thought about it. I was like, dude, I have an Xbox, but then I was thinking,
I mean,
wait, when was the last time I turned on my Xbox? So yeah, I was thinking like, I'm going to take a look at the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are, right? I was looking at the Switch online, and we're coming up on another anniversary already.
From what you're probably about to mention, I'll just say in general, that's the other thing. They've been killing it with their online, with their catalog of old nostalgia games and retro games.
Yeah.
They're killing it.
And furthermore, right? We've been on Switch Online 5 years and 30 days.
Oh, does it say that on the Switch? That's pretty sweet. It tells you? Oh, that's pretty cool.
And yes, folks, I do have Jack from Animal Crossing as my icon. Celebrating Halloween. And it'll go back to Brewster.
Speaking of which, of Halloween, I know you and the family are big time like celebrators of Halloween. Are you guys doing a group costume again?
We're not going to do a group costume this year.
Oh, okay.
Just haven't had time. And the boys, you know what? We let them pick out costumes.
So you're doing your own. That's cool. But you're all dressing up though.
I'm not. I'm just gonna I might. I don't know. I haven't had much time this year.
We'll see.
Like I've been so busy, but no. So one is going as Charmander, and then the other's going as Bingo from Bluey.
Sweet.
So
that's funny.
We got their costumes and everything. But Where were we? Oh, we digress. Back to PlayStation Xbox. But so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens as far as the merger and stuff goes. But I'm glad you at least were able to join at this point, because this is something we talk about a lot with movies specifically. Is that Best Buy announced the departure of physical movies being sold by them.
That's scary. Dude, I wish Jason was here. He probably, oh no. That's that's the first sign of the Armageddon of no physical now.
Well, I mean, like for me specifically, I've been digital only for quite a while now.
Well, I really shouldn't talk, because I have too. With DVDs, dude, I'm the same. But
your collection and Theo's collections,
but
dwarf what I have.
But I actually had my collection in physical form, which was just such a problem, especially when I moved. I mean, I had more boxes of DVDs than I did
and Blu-rays.
And Blu-rays than I did clothes and video games combined. You
gotta pack them just right, and you make sure nothing gets stacked on them and all that.
Yeah, nothing touched them.
I mean, it is kind of bittersweet, like for me, like that we're at this point, right? Because I used to work at Best Buy, and after I left Best Buy, I went to Blockbuster. I was with Blockbuster 10.5 years. I can remember building the first DVD section at Blockbuster, right?
That's
back when it was one. It was one bay on the wall,
a DVD section.
One singular bay.
If you had a DVD player, the new section's over there. So dude,
and it wasn't even new movies. Really, it was all just it was like Heat and Titanic and
all the blockbusters that got converted early. You had slim pickings, especially all those movies everyone saw already.
And then I can remember the advent of Blu-ray, right? That coming on and having DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that.
And then so for me, the big debate, Blu-ray and HD,
and part of that, which. We all knew Blu-ray was going to win out on that one. HD was, they're still trying to push, ultra high def right now, UHD discs, and we don't see those selling as much. And I think that's because you look at what Apple TV can do on a true 4K TV, and it looks realistic. So it's like,
it's more viable to get a
but here's a
decent streaming device.
The debate though is you look at physical DVDs and movies and Blu-rays are disappearing now. And we know, one, it costs quite a bit to manufacture those. You look at the stores like Best Buy, right? At one point, like those movie sections took up the entire middle of the store, right? You'd walk in and there's your movie section, and they've slowly been shrinking over the years. And I think that just shows you, though, there's no profit to be made in a digital era, right? There are the people who like physical, especially gaming, which they are still going to carry physical games. They're not going to get rid of physical games at the moment. But if you notice, those sections are starting to shrink as well
they're getting combined.
Well, they're getting shrunk down, and then it's like, okay, now we're gonna have half an aisle Xbox, half an aisle
PlayStation. The other side is Nintendo. Yeah, they're condensing a lot.
And Nintendo's still gonna take up an entire wall.
But they're almost sandwiching the video game section and the collectibles and toys section now.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of like the physical media section. Yeah. It is sad, and it's granted. I have a all digital PS5. Okay. But that's just because I adopted digital because it just made more sense, because I'd rather have more room for this stuff than game cases. But I understand the need and the want for physical games. I absolutely do. I've never, yes, Theo and I will sit there and draw at you guys all the time about physical. But I get it. I really do.
And we know our time is finite. We know, but that's
Best Buy's going
like first stake. Yeah. First peg. First stake is in the ground.
Nails in the coffin.
Worries me. I'm sure that's what worries Jason too, is like, this is just the beginning. Especially,
I think when you look at, when you look at like Target, right? those sections, the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo sections have still been the same size, right? They haven't shrunk down or anything like that.
Well,
at the majority of the stores,
they can afford it. Target and Walmart can afford it. Like the one of the craziest. Well, I don't think this is
statistic is viable. My Walmart stores out here have shrunk. Their PlayStation and
that's what I'm saying too. Like I would say like 10 years ago when streaming was still in its infancy.
Yep.
And DVDs were still more prevalent. Walmart, someone told me about this. It was insane. Walmart takes up like 15 or 20 to 30% of the film industry alone in sales because of their sales from DVDs. But that form is really becoming extinct. I would not be surprised if we saw either Target or Walmart do the same thing. And once that happens, that's going to be the major peg, because they're major distributors for DVDs. Best Buy is more kind of its own, where it doesn't make a huge impact with DVDs, but they used to have a huge variety.
Some Targets are actually removing their movie sections. I was talking to
Tony
Polanco on Twitter, right? And he said that his stores out there in New York City were starting to remove their movie sections.
Yeah, see, you
walk into a Target right now, even the store here in L-Town, right? That's a huge real estate section that movies are taking up. And when you look at real estate inside your store is prime. You need to be able to utilize it to make you the most profit. Yeah, we talk about inflation and how all that stuff, but when it comes down to an actual store, Jerry, you've done, it'd be like when you were working at Game, right? And that Gameplay, right? And you were carrying something that, because you guys carried like the old stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So say it was, you had a big giant Wii U section, okay? Took up, say, 2 bays on a wall, okay? And it wasn't selling. That's dead space for you. You could easily, but what I'm saying is if it got to the point where it was absolutely $0 moving out of that section, or it was minimal to where it wasn't really, wasn't moving the line. You pull it down.
Pull it down and make it smaller and promote something else.
So for like Target to do that, I mean, that's a huge
that's a big move. Yeah.
For them to start doing that. I know it's the DVD section or the movie section at my store is shrinking a little. They've now expanded books a lot more. Physical media or physical books, which is funny because you've got,
I do like that's actually been growing from what I've heard.
iPads, but you also are starting to see the reemergence of vinyl, and you start seeing sections growing for vinyl records. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody else flows. I honestly think probably Amazon's going to be the last man standing with DVD sales.
I think honestly that or Amazon or eBay will be like the quintessential places to go if you want a DVD, or like mom and pops places that sell retro. But yeah, I think now that you're saying that Target, and pawn shops, like now that you're saying that Target is following suit and slowly like taking out the DVD section, that's the second peg. When Walmart makes that announcement or starts doing that, that's going to be a huge impact to the film industry, because that revenue for years, saved movies like a great example, Grandma's Boy. Okay, everybody loves that movie. Everybody talks about it. It's got its own cult following.
It was a theatrical bomb.
Right, it bombed in the theater, but then it tripled its sales on what it made on DVD sales.
You look at that. You look at Fanboys, same thing.
Same thing. That's why it's streaming like on Netflix, and why it's relevant. People love those, but that's the thing. The DVD sales saved it. Now it's completely turned to where that's what they're also trying to figure out. So it sucks, man. It's scary,
It
but
sucks. But also you look at the manufacturing cost, right? Is you still had to, as a studio, say, hey, if we're going to print 500,000 copies on disc, right? You have your cost for shipping, your cost for labor, your cost for manufacturing, get it in the stores. Then you're gonna have to try and get a little bit of a profit out of it.
Now. Back then, it was worth it to make the DVD because shooting on film and like VHS, any other forum was just too expensive. DVDs, they had the assembly line; they could just do it. But now, like you said, now all those factors are coming in because the sales are
and you make more profit off of digital, right? You know, instead of taking, so you look at Apple takes what, a third of the cut, give or take, ballpark, probably.
Yeah, like
something like
certain percentage. Yeah,
but even then, even if you round it up, right, they take a third of the cut, right? So if you charge $20 for a movie, okay, Apple's taking $7. Okay, let's just round up for. We'll do nerd math here. We're gonna round up. You know?
All right.
we'll do nerd math. You know, so you're making $14. Okay. Even if the movie's on sale for 10, right? Apple takes $3. Again, we'll nerd math it. We'll round down to make it easy.
Yeah.
You know, you're still making $6 off of that, right? But if you look at a $5 or $10 movie in the store, either as a DVD or a Blu-ray, which they still make DVDs, you know, here and there. But even then though, right, you still look at the manufacturing costs, all of that, plus your cost to get it to, you know, to distribution and stuff, you're only making maybe
all of those factors are now hitting because before it was viable to take those chances because no matter what, even the DVDs would sell. Even B movies made more money in DVD sales. Oh my God. It was insane. Like that's how we kept getting more and more like different kinds of movies
even porn movies that were edited down to be rated R movies sold really well on DVDs. Right. I still remember the movie Pirates when that came out. Like we had to put stickers on all the boxes, make sure this was like mature content, right? And it came out right about the same time as one of the Pirates of the Caribbean. So at Blockbuster, right, we had them like kind of near each other on the wall. And I remember one night, this lady comes up with her kids, right? The kids were like 8 or 9, right? And they had Pirates. And I'm like, you realize this isn't the right one, right? And she goes, oh, what do you mean? This looks like Pirates of the... I'm like, no. This is rated R. And it's for adult content. You're going to want to go with this one. You know, and it's like, but to your point, the look B movies, like those indies still did well, you know, and I think
it gave those studios a chance to like put something else out. But that's kind of hasn't changed because now that there are a few more entities to stream, those opportunities are still there, but the sales that were most important because the DVD sales really kicked it up a notch. Like I said with Grandma's Boy, it cost like a couple million, like maybe it was
a low budget with everybody that was in it, but
ballpark like 10-15 million dollars to make. It didn't even make that in box office, but it tripled in DVD sales.
See where I think it's going to hurt, right? To your point, right, with sales numbers, right? Where I think this is going to hurt is indies, right? Because you would put those out on disc, right? You'd have it carried in a Best Buy, Walmart, or Target. People are browsing, looking through, right? It's back to the old adage of Blockbuster, right? You were just walking through the section, be like, oh, the box art catches your eye. You look at it, you read the synopsis, and it sounds good.
I'll give it a try.
Let's give it a try, right?
Why not?
Now when you have like Netflix and stuff like that, it's like the algorithms have the potential to bury it.
That is true. It's harder to find those little gems and those kind of movies unless they're being promoted or, you know, if they pop up on your feed.
Yep.
Yeah. We're in a weird like avenue, like a weird road that like.
And what's funny is our generation specifically. Okay. Well, I'll pull the age card right now. It's our generation specifically. I mean, because I'm not that much older than you. Let's just
No.
be honest, right? Is that our generation has seen massive technology swings over our lifetime, right? We saw,
and if you think about it, we're the last generation that lasted without computer. Like we grew up.
We
I
knew
I remember when we got our first computer. It was insane. And then
I do too, and it was like 50 meg of
and
memory.
the like what infuriates me is like the newer generation, they don't understand dial-up and the frustrations that it all came with. Like
I could just,
you
I could imagine your mom. You're online trying to do something. I can imagine your mom going, Jerry.
Oh God. Or I would hear banging on the mouse. Like it's not going to make it work. That's not like
dude. I think the best is like Star Trek 4, Voyage Home, when they're like Scotty sits down at the computer and it's got the mouse and they're like, you got to use the mouse. Hello, computer.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like how quaint. But no, seriously though, we knew technology before internet.
Yeah.
Like they call us kind of the Oregon Trail generation because we grew up on little Apple IIe's in a little like room in the school. You know, that's how we got introduced to computers. But there was no internet.
My high school's got the colorful. That was my era.
Oh, ours was green screen. The little Apple IIe green screen.
We got the Apple the IMAX, but the colorful ones, the see-through.
Oh yeah, we didn't have we had those later. You know, because I mean, figure I graduated 97. I mean, a couple of years before you, but not much. Because you're what class of
04. Yeah.
Okay. Well, 7 years. So I'm a little, but
a tad,
a scotch, a minuscule amount. But you know, we had the advent of the internet, what dial-up was. I mean, I can remember AOL 14.4.
AOL. Oh God, I'm triggered. Oh my God.
And then it finally got, 28.8. And then eventually it was like 48.
Remember MSN and like, oh God.
Like
they don't even know.
Like when we wrote our papers, we had to actually still go to the library, even though we had internet, we could just go to the library. Right? We didn't have AI, we didn't have Chat GPT or anything like that for our research. It was straight up go pull books out of the library,
pull up film from the libraries. They were still free, but they were on the subject.
I could still remember like stacks of book on a table, like when I was in college writing a paper on the JFK assassination, just tons of books at my table, just kind of going through source material and writing my paper off of it. And then cell phones,
yeah, dude,
we have the advent of cell phones. Now we have the advent of streaming. Like our generation has been through
we were
a lot from
the beginning of cell phones, really technology. We've seen the evolution from pagers to cell phones to now the BlackBerry to iPhones. Man, we've seen it all.
Don't knock the BlackBerry. I miss my BlackBerry.
I don't knock the BlackBerry. Dude, it was a fucking beast during the early 90s
dude, having a full
late 90s and 2000s. Dude, that was the phone to have. But like it was really like if you were in a business or you worked at a business, you had a BlackBerry. Like
I did it because I didn't want an Android. And iPhones were just at that point Nokia. iPhones were just way too expensive. And I wanted something with a full QWERTY keyboard on it, for sending texts and stuff like that. So I went with a BlackBerry and I loved it. They had a really good travel app too, like for booking flights and whatnot. It was actually a really good thing, but
dude, it was that's why like it was an unsung hero, dude. Like everyone remembers when it died, but nobody remembers like it really
was alive.
It utilized a lot before anything else. Really, there were there were Palm Pilots. There were like I forgot what the other ones they called other than Palm Pilots, but you needed an internet connection where you physically had to plug in Ethernet.
Yep.
When the moment the BlackBerry came out, dude,
it was like
it revolutionized business and like it got the businessmen like I would say like more aggressive, and it helped the business industry. But dude, it was a monster. I don't knock it, dude. It was a good phone.
And I remember when they tried to bring it back, right? And they tried to do an Android system, dude. And I'm like, dude, this is trash.
Like, oh no, I already the moment I saw it, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna cave. What it sucks, yeah. The moment I saw Android, I'm like, oh crap, dude, it's not gonna work.
right?
It's not gonna work.
It's like it's not BlackBerry OS.
And that was the thing. The look was good too. It had a nice look, physical keyboard. I'm like,
it was the
it still
BlackBerry
work.
look, and then they were putting
And
on
then
like
Android, bro. It was
like putting
bad.
on Raspberry Pi or whatever.
Yeah, it was so bad.
So yeah, it will be interesting. Like this generation that's growing up right now in this moment, they will never understand what the magic of Blockbuster was, right? Going in and picking out the movies physically, right? Going to pick out games physically, right? To rent them and whatnot. Yeah, you have GameStop, you can go in and physically grab them.
But everything's a service. I think you still have, isn't there still like GameFly, or can you like?
No, GameFly's starting to, they're around, but they're starting to sell off a lot of their stuff now. You know, Netflix has now sent out their last by mail DVD.
Wow.
That's been shut down now. I mean, there is one Blockbuster that is left in the entire world up in Bend, Oregon.
It's independently owned now.
It's franchised. So basically,
is it really?
So it is the last franchise. They pay Blockbuster still their franchise fee every single year. Blockbuster, who is owned by Dish, they're down in Denver still. They every year they decide whether or not they're going to renew that license. So I personally want to try and take a trip to Bend, Oregon. Now, granted, it'd be pretty cool to go see, you know, Ben's studio, right, and go walk by the studio, right. But I would love to just be able to go back to that last sweet Blockbuster, be like, here's my old account, have it memorized.
Sick.
Oh yeah, I still remember. But that's the thing is that when we used to sign into our registers, we had to actually use our whole account number, right? To sign in. So yeah.
Dude, I would straight up. I don't even care if I don't come back. I would sign up for a membership.
Oh yeah,
I would totally want to get a card.
I want my old one back. You know, good old 90162. That's my first store.
Nice.
But I would love to go see that store just to see it one last time.
Same with me. Or at least go for like a weekend and like go rent have a movie night, you know, help out the store, just check it out. And yeah, it'd be cool, man.
It's a sad day. I feel for those of you that are on the physical side. I truly do, because this is that moment everybody's been dreading, right? That, like we talked about, that first nail in the coffin, it's happening. Eventually, I hate to say this, physical is going to go away, because at this point, right, there's now rumors for the Switch 2 that they're going to have a similar to like what PlayStation is doing. They're going to have a digital only version, and then they're going to have a version where you can play the cards on it, which honestly, and this is going to surprise you, I actually will opt to spend more money to get the one where I can use cartridges as well as be digital.
For the Switch?
For the Switch, because that way there's games we'll buy one copy for the house, so we can, and we'll go through all the Switches with it, right? So instead of having to spend $120, $140, whatever, you know, for two copies, one digital, one physical, I can just buy one physical copy and we use it on all the systems.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, games like Mario, yes, I used one of my vouchers for Mario Wonder on my Switch digitally,
oh, sweet.
And I have a physical copy waiting to pick up at GameStop for Friday.
Nice.
But when it comes to Nintendo, I will always try and go physical with that, just because we have 4 in the house. So with that being said, I'll kick us off with what I've been playing.
Yeah, what you've been playing.
We do have Forza. I did play that.
Nice.
Talking about it earlier before you joined. From a driving mechanic standpoint, I think that Forza is a better game from a driving mechanic standpoint, right? But
as compared to Gran Turismo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That just that those features that you like, you got to tweak the vehicle and all that, in all aspects of the vehicle.
you still get to tweak them. So let's look at the game as a whole, right? So from Forza, I like the driving better, but and I like the upgradability for your cars, because as you drive your car, you level it up. You get car points that you can spend on the parts and everything like that. Whereas Gran Turismo, you're leveling up, but you have to use money to upgrade your cars. So if you don't have the money, can't upgrade your cars. That's it. But from a visual standpoint, Gran Turismo is way better on all aspects. Visually speaking, Gran Turismo is better.
Really? Because I've even heard that debate between those two games.
Yeah? Really? It just, from the ray tracing, how it looks on 4K, like Forza looks kind of
arcadey.
Kind of, it felt like, the Forzas of the past, right? It felt flat a little bit in terms of graphic prowess. Like, I think Forza Horizon looks a little bit better than Motorsport in terms of everything around it, right? So, but I get why people play it. There is Animal Crossing. Been dicking around on my island some more. Moving some shit again. Yeah, haven't really played a ton just because I had 2 shoots.
Nice, dude.
So
that's right. I saw the post. That's awesome.
Last weekend. So still editing the second one, but with work and the shoots and family and everything, I just didn't play a ton. I did get you added on Magic. I've been toying around with Magic.
And that's right. Forgot to announce.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, I finally caved. I caved.
We got him.
I'm on Magic Arena, and I did buy a few packs of cards way back in the couple months, but it was hard for them.
If you play enough, if you play enough, right, and you do the daily challenges, you still can get packs.
That's the thing. You guys were not kidding. The moment I started it and went through the tutorial, I was already kind of getting a gist of it. And the more and more you play, the more you get it. Yeah,
well, I won't play my mill deck against you right away.
Oh yeah, screw you, dude. I already seen your decks, and you just automatically winning people online.
Theo hasn't seen the upgrade to the mill deck yet.
Oh, really?
I now have a card. It's an enchantment. I put 2 of them in it, that every end turn for the enchanted opponent, they have to mill cards equal to the amount of cards that went into their graveyard that turn.
Oh, that sucks.
So I have my mill mechanics for like my ruin crabs, where I play a land, you mill 3. I have all these different mill mechanics, right?
Yeah.
So even on my turn, right, if I mill you for 6, at the end of my turn, you also have to mill an additional 6 because you had 6 cards go to your graveyard that turn. Shit. Then you go to play. I counter your spell. If I've got my
yeah, dude, I'm not going to feel bad if I lose to you. Not at all.
that deck is a milling machine now. It's great.
That's awesome.
And then I even put it into my red-blue control deck.
Oh, okay.
So think about this, because the red-blue control I've got a lot of direct damage to creatures and stuff like that, like lightning strikes and whatnot. So those count as cards going to the graveyard. So I have that enchantment out, right? Not only did I just kill your creature, I'm going to make you mill a card. Make you mill 2. It's just an annoyance like to do it. So
gnarly. Okay.
And whatnot. So there's just been that, but other than that, not much.
Sweet. Okay. What have I been playing? I've still been knocking out Lies of P. It is challenging, but I've been enjoying it. As I said, I just started Lords of the Fallen just to get through the tutorial. I'm going to play it later. And I think I'm going to focus on finishing Assassins, because Wonder and Spider-Man.
Well, I was going to say, we're about to get 2 games that are going to take our attention, in Wonder and Spider-Man.
That's going to take precedent.
I had to make sure to get the PS5 back before Spider-Man on Friday.
Oh, dude, so I can't.
It's already I've
purposely only seen the first and like the second trailer or the teaser trailer, and that's it. I don't want to see anything.
I've ignored everything. And this is one of the first games I've done that with. I do need to focus trying to finish on FF16. Now that I have the PlayStation back, I can finish out the last half of that game. But yeah, Spidey and Wonder for Friday.
Sweet, bro. Yeah, can't wait. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Okay.
Pretty much.
folks who hung out around for me by myself talking in thin air. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight and Crashing Game Night. Like I said at the top of the show, please keep the innocent civilians over in Israel and Gaza, Palestine in your thoughts, because those civilians are getting impacted in ways that nobody should. I mean, they are now living in a war zone, especially with that hospital that got hit by a airstrike earlier today, that already had injured patients in it to begin with. I want that thing to be over with.
The footage is it's hard. It's unbelievable to think that it's real. It's just
So keep them in your thoughts. Hopefully we can get to a speedy ceasefire. I don't think that's going to happen though.
It's going to be on for a while.
This has been brewing for a while, because one side wants to absolutely annihilate the other side. If one side were to lay down their arms, they would get wiped out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're looking at it with. I wish we could find some common solution to fix that. So
common ground.
But yeah, so I feel like what you heard, including me just rambling on by myself for the first half of the show, please drop us a follow. Head on over to crashinggamenight.com, find the platform that you wish to follow us on. Drop us a follow there. I am working on a couple of guests for the next couple of weeks. Hopefully scheduling snafus will not show up, and we will have them on. So we'll kind of just surprise you guys with guests as they are happening that week. So I don't want to do anything premature like we did for this week and the week prior. So just with everything, guys, just please be excellent to each other.
That's right, everyone. And let's pivot from the news to the war going on. Let's please once again have them all in our thoughts. Both sides. Let's hope they can come to a resolution and a ceasefire. And once again, we want to promote our same message. Let's try and spread more love, practice a little bit more compassion, some patience. And overall, let's all just try and do a little better and help out whenever we can. And man, just show a bit more kindness, someone's way. It really does help.
Hey,
and
steal Jason's thunder right now, and I'll steal Theo's.
Okay, and I'm gonna do Jason because all right, my man, Matt, take it home, baby.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Till next time, TTFN. Ta-ta for now.
See, we both did it. We both did it good.
See, we got this. We got this.
Got it.
Bye, everybody.